Commander Du-hyun stared at the battle map as another system turned red. His three-fingered hand clenched into a fist. 50 years of war, and they were still losing. Sir, our forces have left the Krell system. The evacuation ships got most of the civilians out. The young officer's voice shook. Do-hyun nodded. He was tired of running. The Narthan people, his people, had been among the first to lose their homeworld to the Voidborn. Now they existed only as refugees spread across what remained of Alliance space. How many ships did we lose? He asked. 17 warships and 3 civilian transports. About 12,000 people, sir. Another defeat, another retreat. The pattern had become painfully familiar to everyone in the Galactic Alliance. The command center of the Alliance flagship hummed with quiet desperation. Officers from a dozen different species worked at their stations, but the mood was grim. They all knew what the red dots on the map meant. More worlds consumed by the endless hunger of the Voidborn. Commander, the Council requests your presence at the emergency meeting, said a voice behind him. Do-hyun turned to see Admiral Tekka, his direct superior and one of the few Centaurian officers left in the fleet. The tall, blue-skinned alien looked as tired as Do-hyun felt. They finally decided to discuss the human option, Tekka said quietly. Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. Are we that desperate? Yes, Tekka replied simply. We are. The council chamber was a perfect circle, designed to show that all member species of the Alliance were equal. But as Do-hyun took his place behind Admiral Tekka, he couldn't help but notice how many seats stood empty now. High Counselor Vex, an ancient Meridian whose crystalline body had dulled with age, spoke first. The strategic situation has become untenable. At current loss rates, the Alliance will collapse within 3 standard years. No one argued. The numbers were clear. We have avoided this option for good reasons, continued a Plovian representative, her tentacles waving in agitation. Humans are unpredictable, violent, and have been deliberately quarantined from galactic politics for their own good and ours. Do-hyun had heard the stories about humans. Their planet had been discovered 70 years ago, and initial contact had gone well enough. But as the Alliance learned more about human history, endless wars among themselves, environmental destruction, their rapid technological development despite these setbacks, the decision had been made to limit interaction. Earth was classified as a developing world, unsuitable for full membership. Now, the Alliance needed them. Specifically, they needed what had caused the Alliance to fear humans in the first place, their capacity for warfare. The humans have continued to develop their military capabilities despite our containment efforts, said Admiral Tekka. Our monitoring stations report they now possess fleet strength comparable to a mid-tier Alliance member. And they've never faced the Voidborn, said another counselor. They don't know what they're up against. High Counselor Vex's crystalline form glimmered as she spoke. Neither did we, once. We need fresh perspectives. New tactics. The humans fight differently than we do. They fight savagely, objected the Plovian. Exactly, said Vex, and savagery may be what we need now. The vote was quick and nearly unanimous. After 50 years of defeat, even the most peace-loving species of the Alliance were willing to try anything. Admiral Tekka turned to Do-hyun after the meeting. The Council has selected you to lead the diplomatic mission to Earth. Me? But I'm not a diplomat. No, Tekka agreed. You're a survivor. Your people lost everything to the Voidborn, yet you still fight. The humans will respect that. He paused. Make them understand, Do-hyun. Make them understand what we're facing, what's at stake. The Alliance cannot fall. Do-hyun straightened his back. When do I leave? Immediately, if the humans say no. Tekka didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. If the humans said no, there would be nowhere left to retreat. Do-hyun's diplomatic vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. The small ship carried only 6 representatives, one from each major surviving Alliance species. They had spent the 10-day journey studying human culture, language, and military history. What they learned had not been comforting. "Approaching human border patrol," announced the pilot. "They've detected us." On the main screen, a sleek black ship appeared. It was smaller than standard Alliance vessels, but bristled with what sensors identified as weapon ports. The design was unlike anything in Alliance records, all sharp angles and hidden capabilities. "Alliance diplomatic vessel, this is Captain Jai-Yun of Earth Border Command," came a clear voice over the communication system. "State your business in Earth space." Do-hyun stepped forward. "Captain Jai-Yun, I am Commander Do-hyun of the Galactic Alliance. We come with an urgent request for Earth's government." A pause followed. Do-hyun knew the human was probably checking with her superiors. "You have been granted temporary clearance to approach Earth Orbital Command," Jai-Yun finally replied. "My ship will escort you. Any deviation from the flight path will be considered hostile action." "Understood, Captain." The human ship moved alongside them, close enough that Do-hyun could see details through the viewing port. It was clearly built for combat, not diplomacy. Earth Orbital Command was a massive station that circled the blue-green planet. From the docking bay, Do-hyun could see massive shipyards where humans were building more warships. They had been preparing for something, despite their isolation. Captain Jai-Yun met them at the airlock. She was shorter than Do-hyun had expected, with dark hair pulled back tightly and alert eyes that missed nothing. She wore a simple black uniform with minimal markings of rank. "The Defense Council will see you immediately," she said without preamble. As they walked through the station's corridors, Do-hyun noticed that every human they passed was armed. Some watched the aliens with open curiosity, others with suspicion. The Defense Council chamber was nothing like the Alliance Council's room. It was functional, almost stark. 7 humans sat at a simple table, with Admiral Han at its center. He was older than the others, with gray at his temples and lines on his face that spoke of hard decisions. "Commander Do-hyun," Han said, "the Alliance has maintained minimal contact with Earth for 50 years. Now you arrive asking for help. Explain." Do-hyun stepped forward. 50 years ago, a species we call the Voidborn emerged from unknown space. They attacked without warning or communication. They consume all organic matter on worlds they conquer to fuel their expansion. He activated a holographic display showing Alliance territory before the war than now. The difference was shocking. The Alliance once included 37 spacefaring species across 12,000 inhabited worlds. Do-hyun continued. "Now we are down to 18 species and less than 4,000 worlds. We lose ground every day." "And what makes you think we would fare any better?" asked Admiral Han. The question hung in the room. Do-hyun had anticipated many responses, but not this one. The Alliance values cooperation, consensus, and minimal loss of life. Do-hyun answered carefully. "These are worthy goals in peacetime. In war, they have become our weakness. The Voidborn show no mercy and take no prisoners. And you believe humans are different?" asked a woman at the end of the table. "Your history suggests you understand something we have forgotten," Do-hyun said. "How to do whatever is necessary to survive." Admiral Han leaned forward. "Show us everything you have on these Voidborn. Their ships, tactics, biology, everything. Then we'll decide." Captain Jai-Yun escorted the Alliance representatives to their quarters afterward. As they walked, she spoke quietly to Do-hyun. "How bad is it really? Beyond the official reports." Do-hyun looked at her. "The Voidborn took my homeworld 15 years ago. 9 billion dead in a week. That has happened 26 times now." Jai-Yun's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes hardened. "The Council will take time to decide," she said. "But I think you should prepare your people, Commander." "For what?" "For how humans fight wars," she answered. "It's not like anything you're used to." 3 days after the Alliance delegation arrived, Earth made its first decision. They would send an assessment team to evaluate the military situation before committing to the war. Admiral Han appointed Colonel Suho to lead the human team. Do-hyun met Colonel Suho as the humans boarded the Alliance ship. Suho was tall and lean with sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. He brought 12 specialists with him, all wearing simple gray uniforms without visible weapons. "Commander Do-hyun," Suho said with a small nod. "My team is ready to depart." "We welcome your assistance, Colonel," Do-hyun replied. "The journey to Alliance Command will take 4 days." Suho simply nodded again. "We'll use that time to study your tactical records." During the journey, Do-hyun rarely saw the humans. They kept to themselves, reviewing the history of the war and asking occasional questions. Suho requested complete access to battle records, casualty reports, and military protocols. The Alliance Council had authorized full disclosure, so Do-hyun complied. On the 3rd day, Suho finally sought out Do-hyun in the ship's observation deck. "Your people have been fighting for 50 years, Suho said without greeting. "Yet I see the same tactics used repeatedly, even after they failed." Do-hyun felt defensive. The Alliance Military Council reviews all battle strategies and makes the same mistakes, Suho replied. "Why?" Before Do-hyun could answer, the ship's alarms blared. "Commander, to the bridge," came the urgent call. Do-hyun ran, with Suho close behind. On the bridge, chaos reigned. "Voidborne ships detected near Outpost 47, reported the tactical officer. "They're attacking the station." "How far are we?" asked Do-hyun. 10 minutes at maximum speed." "Go," ordered Do-hyun. "Alert Alliance Command. Request reinforcements." Suho watched silently as the ship changed course. Do-hyun noticed the human's expression hadn't changed. He didn't look surprised or alarmed, only attentive. When they arrived at Outpost 47, 2 Voidborne cruisers were attacking the small Alliance station. 3 Alliance defenders were already engaged in battle, following standard defensive protocols. "We'll join the defense pattern," Do-hyun ordered. "Target the lead Voidborne ship." "Permission to observe your combat operations," Suho requested calmly. Do-hyun nodded. "Stay out of the way." The battle lasted 43 minutes. Alliance ships maintained their defensive formation, protecting the outpost while firing at the Voidborne ships. Eventually, Alliance reinforcements arrived, and the Voidborne retreated. The outpost was damaged, but intact. "We saved the outpost," Do-hyun told Suho afterward. 200 civilians and the research data are safe." Suho's face remained impassive. "At what cost?" 1 defender ship lost. 47 crew. "And this is considered a victory." Do-hyun frowned. "We protected the objective." Suho asked to address the Alliance commanders after they returned to base. In a room filled with military leaders from various species, the human delivered his assessment. "After reviewing your tactics and observing firsthand, I can identify why you're losing this war," Suho began. His voice was calm but carried throughout the room. "Your primary focus is minimizing casualties and protecting assets. The Voidborne have learned this and use it against you." A Plovian admiral bristled. "We value all lives, Colonel." "The Voidborne don't," Suho replied. "They sacrifice ships freely to achieve objectives. You retreat to save lives, surrendering territory. They advance. The pattern repeats." "What would you suggest?" asked Admiral Tekka. "Your tactics are predictable. Your responses are known. You fight as if you can afford to lose." Suho's eyes swept the room. "You need to fight as if defeat means extinction, because it does." Uncomfortable silence filled the room. "I've seen enough," Suho concluded. "I will recommend Earth joins your war, but not as simply another Alliance member. We will fight the human way." "And what is the human way?" asked Do-hyun. Suho looked directly at him. "To do whatever is necessary to win." 1 month after Colonel Suho's assessment, the first human warships arrived. Do-hyun watched from the command center as 20 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They were smaller than Alliance vessels, but bristled with weapons. Admiral Han arrived on the flagship, Determination. The Alliance Council had agreed to the humans' terms. They would fight their way with their own command structure. Du Hyun had been assigned as the official liaison between human forces and the Alliance. Commander Du Hyun. Admiral Han greeted him. We're ready to begin operations. The Council is grateful for Earth's assistance. Du Hyun replied formally. Han's expression remained serious. Don't thank us yet. You may not like our methods. The first planning session shocked the Alliance commanders. Colonel Suho presented a strategy that deliberately sacrificed 3 border outposts. These positions are indefensible, Suho explained, pointing at the map. By abandoning them now, we can set traps and ambush the Voidborn when they move in. There are civilians on those outposts, protested an Alliance general. We'll evacuate them first, Captain Jae-yun said. But we'll leave the infrastructure rigged to explode. That violates Alliance military codes, the general argued. We don't destroy civilian structures. The Voidborn will use those structures against you, Suho countered. We've studied their patterns. They repurpose everything they capture. Admiral Han stepped forward. We understand your concerns, but we agreed to fight this war our way. The Alliance has been losing for 50 years. Let us show you something different. Reluctantly, the Alliance agreed. The evacuations began immediately. 3 days later, Du Hyun stood on the bridge of Captain Jae-yun's ship, watching the operation unfold. The Voidborn ships approached the abandoned outposts exactly as Suho had predicted. They're docking with the main stations, reported a sensor officer. Jae-yun nodded. Initiate the traps. The outposts exploded in massive fireballs, destroying the Voidborn ships that had docked with them. Simultaneously, human warships emerged from hiding places in nearby asteroid fields, attacking the confused Voidborn fleet from multiple directions. Launch the drones, ordered Jae-yun. Small, unmanned craft swarmed toward the Voidborn ships. They weren't weapons, Du Hyun realized. They were broadcasting something. What are those transmitting? He asked Jae-yun. Psychological warfare, she replied. We're sending them images of human bodies being consumed, but modified to show extreme pain. We're also broadcasting sounds at frequencies our research suggests will disturb their neural patterns. Du Hyun was shocked. You studied their biology that quickly. We've been analyzing your data continuously. The Voidborn communicate differently than we do, but they still communicate. We're using that against them. The battle ended in 30 minutes. 7 Voidborn ships destroyed, the rest retreating. Not a single human vessel lost. Later, at the debriefing, Admiral Han addressed the Alliance commanders. This is just the beginning, he said. We will need to implement more aggressive strategies as we advance. Some will make you uncomfortable. Like what? Asked Admiral Tekka. Colonel Suho displayed a new battle plan. We'll target their resource collection ships first, then their breeding worlds. Breeding worlds often have captive populations from conquered planets, Du Hyun pointed out. Yes, Suho agreed without hesitation. Those people are already lost. The Voidborn use them as food and labor. We can't save them, but we can prevent more planets from suffering the same fate. The cold calculation in Suho's voice made the room silent. Du Hyun felt a chill. This was the human way of war, ruthless, efficient, and utterly focused on victory rather than saving everyone. The next stage begins tomorrow, Admiral Han announced. Commander Du Hyun will coordinate between our forces. As the meeting ended, Du Hyun approached Jae-yun. Your people fight differently than I expected. She looked at him with steady eyes. The Alliance fights to minimize suffering. That's honorable. But against an enemy like the Voidborn, it's also a weakness. She paused. We fight to win, Commander, whatever it takes. For the first time in 10 years, the Alliance stopped retreating. 3 months after the humans joined the war, Captain Jae-yun led a joint fleet toward the Krell system. the same system Do-hyun had watched fall at the beginning. 22 Alliance ships and 15 human vessels approaching Krell, reported a tactical officer. Voidborn defenses detected. Do-hyun stood on the bridge of Jae-yun's flagship. He had spent weeks working with the humans, learning their strategies and helping implement them across the Alliance forces. The Voidborn have 18 warships and 3 processing stations in orbit, Jae-yun noted, exactly as our intelligence predicted. The plan was bold. Too bold, many Alliance commanders had argued, but Admiral Han had insisted, and the Alliance, desperate for any progress, had agreed. All ships in position. Suho's voice came through the communication system. He commanded the second battle group, hidden behind Krell's third moon. "Begin Phase 1, ordered Jae-yun. The main fleet moved forward, challenging the Voidborn head-on. This was familiar to Do-hyun, a standard Alliance approach. The Voidborn responded exactly as expected, forming their battle line and advancing. "They think we're following your old tactics," Jae-yun said to Do-hyun. "They expect us to fight cautiously." But this time was different. 3 human ships suddenly accelerated toward the center of the Voidborn line. "Captain," Do-hyun said with alarm, "those ships can't survive a direct assault." "They know," Jae-yun replied quietly. The 3 human ships plunged into the Voidborn formation. Do-hyun watched in horror as they were surrounded. "Reactors at critical levels," reported an officer. "They're overloading deliberately." The 3 human ships exploded simultaneously, creating a massive energy wave that tore through the Voidborn fleet. In that moment of chaos, Suho's battle group emerged from behind the moon, attacking the disorganized Voidborn from behind. "All ships, advance," Jae-yun commanded. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the Voidborn fleet was destroyed. The Krell system was back in Alliance hands. The cost was high. 3 human ships with their entire crews, and 4 Alliance vessels. But it was a decisive victory, something the Alliance hadn't seen in decades. That night, a celebration filled the main station above Krell. Alliance species and humans mingled, drinking and sharing stories. But Do-hyun couldn't join the festivities. He found Jae-yun alone on an observation deck, looking down at the planet. "Those ships," he said, "those crews, they sacrificed themselves deliberately." Jae-yun nodded. They volunteered. They knew what would happen. Why? Why would they choose certain death? "Because it saved thousands of others," she replied simply. The math was clear. 3 ships and crews to save a planet and win a significant victory. The Alliance would never order such a sacrifice. "And that's why you've been losing." Jae-yun turned to face him. "We understand something your people have forgotten. Sometimes survival requires terrible choices." Do-hyun was silent for a long moment. "The crew's families will be honored and cared for," Jae-yun finished. "Their sacrifice means something. That matters to us." Do-hyun looked out at the stars. "My people lost our homeworld because we weren't willing to make those kinds of choices. We evacuated instead of making a final stand. Maybe if we had fought more like humans." "Don't second-guess the past," Jae-yun said. "Focus on what we do now." She handed him a data tablet. "These are Colonel Suho's plans for the next phase." Do-hyun looked at the plans. They called for pushing deeper into Voidborn territory, not just reclaiming lost systems, but striking at the enemy's core worlds. "This is not defense. This is offense," he said. "Yes," Jae-yun agreed. "The best defense is to eliminate the threat entirely." The Alliance Council will resist. They want to reclaim what was lost, rebuild what was destroyed, while the Voidborn prepare for the next attack. Jae-yun shook her head. "Half measures will fail. We strike at their heart, or we lose everything. Those are the only choices." Do-hyun knew she was right. The old ways had failed. The humans brought a hardness, a ruthlessness that was changing the course of the war. "I will support these plans in the council," he said finally. Jae-yun nodded. Then we might just win this war, Commander. The Alliance Council chamber was filled with tension. 2 months of human-led victories had changed the war, but also changed relationships between species. Du Hyun stood beside Admiral Tekka as General Min, Earth's supreme military commander, presented the next major operation. Operation Sundering will target the Voidborn supply lines, General Min explained. She was a stern woman with gray-streaked hair and the bearing of someone who had fought many wars. We have identified 6 transit points they use to move resources and troops. The holographic display showed the locations spread across 3 star systems. Our plan is to collapse these transit points simultaneously, Min continued. This will trap approximately 40% of Voidborn forces in isolated sectors, cutting them off from their command structure and supplies. How do you collapse a transit point? Asked a Meridian counselor. Colonel Suho stepped forward. By detonating specialized bombs inside the transit pathways. The resulting energy release will create a permanent disruption in space-time. Silence fell over the room as the implications became clear. Those transit points connect inhabited systems, said Counselor Vex slowly. Collapsing them would isolate those systems as well. Billions of people would be cut off. Yes, General Min acknowledged. 17 Alliance worlds would be isolated. But those worlds are already under Voidborn control or direct threat. We can't abandon 17 worlds, shouted a Plovian representative. They are already lost, Suho stated flatly. This action would prevent the Voidborn from using their resources to capture more worlds. The chamber erupted in angry debate. Du Hyun watched as Alliance leaders argued against the plan while human officers stood firm. He had seen enough battles now to know the humans were right from a military standpoint, but the ethical cost was enormous. Admiral Tekka leaned toward Du Hyun. Your thoughts, Commander? Du Hyun hesitated. 6 months ago, he would have opposed this plan immediately. But after seeing how the war had changed under human leadership, after witnessing actual victories instead of constant retreat, the plan will work, he said quietly. The Voidborn won't expect it. They'll lose nearly half their military strength overnight. At what cost? Tekka asked. A terrible one, Du Hyun admitted, but less terrible than losing everything. High Counselor Vex called for order. We will vote on this operation tomorrow. Consider carefully what is at stake. After the meeting, Du Hyun found himself walking alongside Captain Jae-yun in a corridor. Your council is divided, she observed. The alliance was founded on principles of unity and protection, Du Hyun explained. What the humans propose goes against our deepest beliefs. Yet you seem supportive. Du Hyun stopped walking. My homeworld is gone, Captain. 9 billion Narthans dead. I've watched dozens more worlds fall. The old ways weren't working. Jae-yun studied him. You understand the hard choices now. I understand necessity, Du Hyun corrected. I don't have to like it. None of us like it, Jae-yun said, surprising him. You think humans enjoy making these decisions. We hate it, but we hate losing more. Before Du Hyun could respond, his communication device chimed. An urgent message from Alliance Intelligence. He read it quickly, his blood running cold. What is it? Jae-yun asked, seeing his expression change. The Voidborn are changing their pattern, Du Hyun said. Intelligence believes they've identified Earth as the source of the new tactics. They're redirecting forces. Jae-yun's eyes widened slightly. They're targeting Earth. Du Hyun nodded. A massive fleet movement, larger than anything we've seen. How long? 2 months at most before they reach Earth's system. Jae-yun was already activating her own communication device. We need to accelerate Operation Sundering. The Council hasn't approved it, Du Hyun reminded her. They will now, Jae-yun said grimly, when they understand the alternative. Du Hyun knew she was right. The debate about ethics versus survival was being forced to a conclusion. With Earth threatened, the humans would become even more ruthless. And the Alliance would have to decide. Follow the human way of war completely, or watch their last hope die. The news that Earth was targeted changed everything. The Alliance Council approved Operation Sundering by a narrow margin. Within days, human and Alliance ships deployed to the 6 transit points with special bombs designed to collapse the space-time pathways. Do-hyun was on the command ship with Colonel Suho when the first reports came in. Transit Point 1 collapsed successfully, announced a communications officer. Voidborne ships in Sector 12 are now cut off. Similar reports followed for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th transit points. But then, silence. Transit points 5 and 6 aren't responding, Suho said, checking the data. His usual calm expression showed concern. Something's wrong. Do-hyun looked at the tactical display. The Voidborne were waiting for them. How did they know? The question hung in the air as they watched the battle unfold. The ships at transit points 5 and 6 were under heavy attack. They wouldn't succeed in their mission. After the operation, Admiral Han called an emergency meeting. 4 transit points collapsed is still a victory, he reminded them. But the Voidborne were ready at 2 locations. They knew our plans. That's impossible, said an Alliance general. Those plans were top secret. Not impossible, Suho countered. Just unlikely, unless there are Voidborne infiltrators. The room went quiet. Admiral Tekka spoke first. Infiltrators. Among the Alliance leadership. It's the only explanation, Do-hyun said. The pieces falling into place. The Voidborne have been one step ahead too often. And now they know to target Earth. We need to find them. Admiral Han stated. But first, we need to protect Earth. The Voidborne fleet will arrive in 6 weeks. After the meeting, Suho approached Do-hyun with a datapad. I have a mission for you, Commander. What kind of mission? A dangerous one, Suho replied. We need to disrupt the Voidborne fleet heading for Earth. Slow them down, damage their coordination. Do-hyun studied the plan. It called for a small team to infiltrate a Voidborne command ship, plant a virus in their navigation systems, and escape. It was nearly a suicide mission. Why me? He asked. Because you understand both our tactics and theirs, Suho said. And because I'll be leading the team. Do-hyun was surprised. You're going yourself. Earth is my home, Suho said simply. I will do what is necessary to protect it. 3 days later, Do-hyun and Suho led a team of 6 in a stealth ship toward the advancing Voidborne fleet. They wore special suits designed to mask their life signs from Voidborne sensors. Remember, Suho told the team, we plant the virus and get out. No heroics. They docked with a Voidborne command ship by mimicking the signature of a returning scout vessel. Once inside, they moved through dark corridors that pulsed with strange organic technology. The main navigation hub should be ahead, Do-hyun whispered, checking his scanner. As they turned a corner, they encountered 3 Voidborne drones. The fight was quick but violent. The team won, but 1 human soldier was badly wounded. Leave me, the injured soldier said. Complete the mission. Do-hyun was shocked by how quickly the humans accepted their comrade's sacrifice. They continued forward after giving him a weapon to end his life if the Voidborne found him. They reached the navigation hub, and Suho began installing the virus. Suddenly, alarms blared. They know we're here, Do-hyun said. We need to hurry. Suho worked quickly while the rest of the team prepared for defense. Voidborne soldiers approached from 2 directions. Got it, Suho announced as the virus uploaded. Now we run. The retreat was chaotic. 2 more humans fell. As they neared their ship, a Voidborne weapon struck Suho in the leg. He stumbled, and a second blast hit him in the chest. Without thinking, Do-hyun lifted the human commander and carried him the rest of the way. They reached the ship as the last team member provided covering fire. Why? Suho asked weakly as Do-hyun strapped him into a seat. Why save me? Because that's what allies do, Do-hyun replied. And perhaps I'm learning something from humans after all. As their ship escaped, They watched the Voidborn fleet fall into disarray. The virus was working. Earth had gained precious time. Despite the virus that slowed the Voidborn fleet, they still reached Earth. Du-hyun stood in Earth Orbital Command, watching as the enemy ships appeared at the edge of the system. The virus had bought them 3 weeks to prepare, but now the battle for humanity's homeworld was about to begin. All civilians have been moved to underground shelters, reported Captain Jae-yun. Defense systems are at full capacity. Do-hyun was surprised. You didn't evacuate the planet? No, Admiral Han said as he entered the command center. Humans will not abandon Earth. This was different from every other species in the Alliance, who had always prioritized saving their people over their planets. But humans, it seemed, viewed their homeworld differently. The Alliance fleet will arrive in 6 hours, Du-hyun told them. Can you hold that long? We must, Han replied simply. The Voidborn attack began with a wave of smaller ships testing Earth's defenses. Orbital stations and defense satellites fired continuously, destroying dozens of enemy vessels. But more kept coming. Colonel Suho, now recovered from his injuries, joined them in the command center. The main Voidborn fleet is moving into attack position. They're focusing on our southern hemisphere defenses. As expected, Jae-yun nodded. Initiate Strike Plan Omega. Hidden human ships emerged from behind Earth's moon, attacking the Voidborn's flank. For a moment, it seemed to work. The enemy ships turned to engage this new threat. Then everything changed. New signals detected, announced a sensor officer, fear in his voice. A second Voidborn fleet just arrived. The tactical display showed the situation clearly. Earth was caught between 2 massive enemy forces. The humans had prepared for 1 fleet, not 2. How? Admiral Han demanded. Our intelligence didn't detect a second fleet. The infiltrators, Du-hyun realized. They must have hidden this information. Suho's face was grim. We need to change strategies immediately. For the next 3 hours, Earth's defenses fought desperately against overwhelming odds. Human ships performed incredible maneuvers, using Earth's gravity and atmosphere in ways Du-hyun had never seen before. But they were losing. Dozens of orbital defenses had already fallen, and Voidborn ships were beginning to land troops on the surface. The Alliance fleet is still 2 hours away, Du-hyun reported. Can you hold? Jae-yun looked at Admiral Han. Sir, I recommend Plan Eclipse. Han's face turned ashen. Are you certain? Yes, sir. It's our only option now. Han nodded slowly. Prepare for Plan Eclipse. Inform Surface Command. What is Plan Eclipse? Du-hyun asked. Jae-yun led him to a separate tactical display. When the war began, we created last resort plans. Eclipse is one of them. She pointed to Earth's moon. We've placed engines on the dark side of our moon. Powerful ones. Do-hyun stared at her in shock. You're going to move the moon. Not move it, she corrected. Use it. The plan became clear as Do-hyun watched the simulation. They would use the engines to alter the moon's orbit, sending it on a calculated path that would bring it close enough to Earth to cause massive gravitational disruption, and directly into the path of the Voidborn flagship. This will cause enormous damage to Earth's surface, Do-hyun said. Tidal waves, earthquakes. Yes, Jae-yun acknowledged. Billions will die. But our shelters are designed to survive this. Some humans will live. Her eyes met his. And the Voidborn will lose their command structure. It was the most desperate plan Do-hyun had ever seen. And the most human. Not a clean sacrifice of a few ships or crews, but a willingness to devastate their own world to ensure survival. Engines activating, reported an officer. Moon trajectory change initiated. As the enormous natural satellite began its subtle but devastating course change, Do-hyun received a message. The Alliance fleet had increased speed. They would arrive in 1 hour. Hold on, he told Jae-yun. Help is coming. She gave him a tired smile. Good. But Plan Eclipse continues. We take no chances with Earth's survival. Do-hyun understood then what truly made humans different, not just their ruthlessness, but their absolute commitment to endure, to survive, no matter the cost. The Alliance fleet arrived just as Earth's moon began its controlled descent toward the planet. Do-hyun had never seen so many ships jump into a system at once, over 300 vessels from every surviving Alliance species. All Alliance ships. This is Commander Do-hyun, he broadcast. Earth is executing Plan Eclipse. Target the second Voidborn fleet while their command structure is disrupted. The battle that followed was like nothing in the 50-year war. Alliance ships, now fighting with human tactics, struck hard and fast. They targeted Voidborn weak points, sacrificed positions for advantages, and fought with a desperation born of knowing this was their last stand. On Earth's surface, Voidborn ground forces pushed toward major cities, but they found humans waiting with devastating traps and ambushes. The invaders, used to species that ran or surrendered, were unprepared for enemies who fought house to house, street to street, with no thought of retreat. In orbit, the moon's new trajectory created gravity distortions that pulled Voidborn ships off course. Their formation broke apart as Earth's natural satellite headed directly toward their flagship. At the last moment, the Voidborn commander attempted to escape, but it was too late. The moon didn't hit the planet, but passed close enough to cause massive devastation on Earth's surface. Tidal waves, earthquakes, and storms ravaged continents, but the underground shelters held, and the Voidborn flagship, caught in the gravitational shear between Earth and its moon, was torn apart. Voidborn command structure destabilizing, reported Suho, watching the tactical displays. Their fleet coordination is failing. Without central command, the Voidborn followed their programming. Attack until destroyed. But against coordinated Alliance and human forces, they began to fall. 6 hours later, the battle was over. Earth was scared but intact. The Voidborn fleets were destroyed. But the cost was enormous. Billions of humans dead. Major cities destroyed. Earth's surface would take generations to heal. 1 week after the Battle of Earth, Do-hyun visited Captain Jae-yun in a medical facility overlooking what remained of a coastal city. She had been injured during the final hours of the battle but was recovering. The council has approved a new offensive strategy, Do-hyun told her as they looked out at workers clearing rubble below. Admiral Han and Colonel Suho will lead the first attack into Voidborn core territory next month. Jae-yun nodded. And you? I've been asked to serve as joint commander with Suho. The Alliance is reorganizing its military structure to match human models. Good, she said simply. Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Was it worth it? He finally asked, gesturing to the devastated landscape outside. The cost, I mean. Jae-yun pointed to a small park where children played in the shadow of a destroyed building. We're still here, she said. That's what matters. We survived. The Alliance never understood that before, Do-hyun admitted. We thought preserving our way of life was as important as preserving our lives. A luxury, Jae-yun said, not unkindly. When facing extinction, principles mean nothing if your species dies out. And after? Do-hyun asked. When the war is over, do we keep this ruthlessness? Jae-yun smiled faintly. No. That's the point of survival, to live well afterward, to rebuild, to remember why we fought so hard. A message chimed on Do-hyun's communicator. The joint fleet was ready ahead of schedule. They would depart in 3 days. Will you join us when you're healed? He asked Jae-yun. Of course, she said. Earth has shown the Alliance how to survive. Now we need to show them how to win. Do-hyun looked out at the rebuilding efforts. Humans hadn't waited for help. They had emerged from their shelters and immediately begun repairing what they could. Their resilience matched their ruthlessness. 3 days later, a fleet of 500 ships, the largest offensive force in 50 years, prepared to depart Earth orbit. Do-hyun stood on the command deck beside Suho, watching the blue planet grow smaller as they accelerated away. For the first time since this war began, Suho said, "We're not defending or retreating." "No," Do-hyun agreed. "We're advancing." The war had been lost until the ruthless humans showed up. Now, at last, it could be won.